for you headed your way. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place.
And here we go at 1 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 5 News Live. I'm Tyler Fingert. I'll be joining you for the next hour. And remember, this is an interactive news conversation, so we are live streaming on all of our social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Join us in the comments, and you can be a part of this news conversation. Let's get straight to the headlines, though, and check out what we are working on today. Let's bring in our assignment manager, Tanya Mendoza, who's standing by at our assignment desk with a check. Hey, Tanya.
Tyler. So we have a little breaking news right now, and I want to pull up our camera from our photographer, Stephen Herron. He's over in the Conley area. That's in Clayton County. Clayton County Police put out a notice on their Facebook page to the public to avoid a certain area because there was a SWAT standoff, it sounds like, in on the 1500 block of Rock Cut Road. So they've shut down Rock Cut Road in Conley. They responded to a burglary in progress there. Officers located 3 suspects at the scene. 2 were taken into custody, and I guess 1 is barricaded inside a residence there. So a big scene over Rock Cut Road in Conley and Clayton County. Tyler, do you see the pictures? Yeah, we can see obviously an active scene. I can count about 5 or 6 officers right there. Their bulletproof vests on. It looks like they're awaiting some stuff to continue on there as they're working this barricade situation. That's right. And I do want to mention that we did get a phone call from a viewer who was concerned about what was going on in that area and wanted to make sure we had a crew on it. We did send 2 photographers. I think we might be sending a reporter out there, and we will keep everyone updated on this situation throughout all our live stream shows today. Tyler? Yeah, active and live breaking right now. We'll keep people up to date throughout the hour here during the 1 o'clock hour, and then during Fox 5 News Live at 2 and 3. Let's talk about a story out of Cartersville, a cold case. What can you tell us about this one? Okay, so Cartersville police, along with the assistance of the GBI, they're renewing their request for public assistance in the this unsolved 2000 from the year 2000 unsolved homicide of 53-year-old Patricia Ann Hanlon. There's her picture right there. That's what Deidre Dukes is working on today. She's talking to Cartersville police about this case. This happened on July 27th, 2000. Hanlon, a dedicated employee at Lacey Mills, was found dead inside her apartment at 130 North Irwin Street. Investigators determined she died from a violent attack between July 21st and July 27th in the year 2000. No suspect or motive has been identified. Police Chief Kevin Collinger emphasized that changing relationships and fading memories are over 26 years, but things could lead to someone things have changed within those 26 years, but things can change, and there may be some critical information still out there. So even if people think it's something small, if they know anything, they should give them a call. And if you want to find out how to submit a tip on this case, you can go to fox5atlanta.com. We have a full story there, and it lets you know how you can submit a tip to the Cartersville Police or the GBI. Tyler? Yeah, hopefully someone can be able to provide the break in the case to be able to bring closure to the family as they try to solve this murder from 2000. Let's take people down to Peachtree City. So a couple down there purchased a Barbie dream home, and unfortunately they lost thousands. Our Doug Evans is working on this story. What can you tell us about this one? That's right. Doug Evans is working on this story. So he talked about it in the editorial meeting, and he's interviewing the family right now. Basically, the Saunders family was trying to buy a Barbie Dreamhouse, and they were doing an online search on Google, and they found one that appeared to be, reasonable price and looked legit. And it sounds like that once they went to purchase it online, something happened, and they started to get suspicious of the purchase. I don't know if it was, I think maybe the screen froze or something, but Doug's talking to them, and we'll have the full details later. Anyway, after after the purchase, a few weeks later, they started noticing some fraudulent charges on their bank account, and it all stemmed from this purchase. So they did notify their bank, and at first the bank wasn't returning the money, but finally they have been able to get their money back, and that's what Doug's working on. Basically, you know, you have to be really careful with online purchases. You have to, you know, make sure that the websites are legit, double check the URLs, all of that. So Tyler, he'll have that story. There's a picture of the Dreamhouse right there.
Yeah, unfortunate situation, losing thousands of dollars. You think you're buying something and unfortunately getting ripped off. We'll look for Doug Evans' story tonight. Tanya, thanks so much for joining us for an update on the story we're working on today.
I do want to mention real quick, tomorrow's National Chicken Wing Day. So hopefully you'll have some chicken wings for the whole newsroom tomorrow.
Oh, I will definitely think about that as I come in at 7 o'clock in the morning to bring you some chicken wings.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll head out for lunch before our 1 o'clock show, and we can eat them together here at 1. Tanya, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Let's talk about one of our other big stories we've been following since Friday, and that is the plea and sentencing hearing for Colt Gray. So back on Friday, he officially pled guilty in a Barrow County courtroom, and that sentencing hearing has been going on now for several days. So this is a live look inside the Barrow County courtroom. I was just looking off to our side to verify. This is a live feed coming in right now from our pool camera, which is inside the Barrow County courtroom. So a judge has to decide whether Colt Gray will have a chance at parole. The teenager faces life in prison after he pleaded guilty to 55 charges in the September 2024 Apalachee High School shooting. This morning, an investigator took the stand to talk about what she heard in recorded jail phone calls between Colt and his mother, Marcy Gray. In one exchange, Marcy described a drawing sent to her showing Colt with the Parkland and Columbine school shooters. Take a listen.
Someone did a drawing of you, Eric Harris, Nick, and Dylan Claybold.
Oh wow, I need that printed out and brought up here.
Okay, and it's really awesome. They drew it as a Weezer album cover.
A Weezer album cover. Wow.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And so we are keeping an eye on what is happening in the courtroom. You can see the assistant district attorney for Barrow County at the podium there talking to another witness. And you can see Judge Nicholas Prim in the far distance there as they work to, it looks like that may have been a recorded. This is the live shot right now coming from the courtroom. That appears to be Colt's attorney standing there questioning the witness in the witness box. And you can see Judge Nicholas Prim just beyond there. He's basically going to be deciding whether Colt gets life in prison with the possibility of parole or without the possibility of parole. Our Kevin Stewart is standing by inside the courtroom, and he is gathering the latest, and he'll be joining us later on this afternoon for Fox 5 News at 4. As we continue on, I want to talk about this another story we're following, and this has to do with a assault that happened in Atlanta. And now the police department needs your help finding a man who attacked another man, leaving him in a coma. So it happened last Tuesday outside of a Krispy Kreme drive-thru on Evans Street. Police found a man with multiple injuries, and he was transported to Grady Memorial Hospital, where he remains unconscious. Investigators say the assault was unprovoked, and an investigation is ongoing. Anyone with information on this person is urged to submit tips to the Atlanta Crime Stoppers tip line. And of course, you could be eligible for a cash reward. Let's see if we can take a live look outside at the world's busiest airport right there. Things look a lot nicer than they did yesterday morning. We saw the start of the work week with a lot of rain. Now we're just talking about the heat and humidity. We're somewhere in the low 90s right now, and I believe it's only going to go up from here. Let's bring in Fox 5 Storm 2 meteorologist Lauren Robinson. She's joining me here now with the check of the forecast. Hey, Lauren.
Hey, yeah, we're looking for another hot and humid day out there. We do have heat advisories all across the South, beyond just Atlanta, beyond just Georgia. It's really a large portion of the South that's going to be under some sort of a heat warning today, and that's going to be because of our temperatures, our humidity. We're looking for those temperatures well above average. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're dealing with right now. We have those temperatures right now in the upper 80s, low 90s across North Georgia, 91 degrees in Atlanta, Same goes for Covington. We're seeing 93 in Eatonton, 92 in Athens. Now, those areas are already in the triple digits when it comes to our heat indices. The rest of North Georgia slowly getting there as well. So this is where you want to watch for that dangerously hot weather today. Take a look at how many areas are in the triple digits already for our heat indices. And we still have a few more degrees of warming to go as we're only in the 1 o'clock hour. We're not going to hit our highs until around 3, 4 o'clock or so. So you really want to pay attention to just how hot it's going to feel out there. Now, it feels like 102 in Atlanta. Same goes for Canton, Rome, Eatonton. It feels like 100 in Athens, 106 in Covington. And again, it's just going to get worse from here. So here's a look at these heat alerts that we have all across the South. And again, we're going to continue to look for those impacts all across Georgia as well. The only area that's really not included, that's going to be down in Savannah as well as up near Blairsville up in the high country. A tad bit cooler there, but we will be looking for overall those heat and humidity values to make it feel like 105 to 109. That's where you want to make sure you're paying attention to any heat related illness. Stay hydrated, get that shade shelter. No long runs outside today. Bring the pets indoors. Make sure you're checking on your elderly relatives and neighbors. Now, we take a look at our live Viper radar. That front that's off to the north, that's going to bring us some storms tonight. But on the flip side of it, it's also going to drop our temperatures a bit over the next few days. So we're going to look for those highs to drop into the upper 80s to low 90s. In the meantime, as that front passes through tonight, it's going to bring some storms across northeast Georgia. And with it, we're going to be looking for some of those storms to be pretty strong. Now, once those storms pass, we're on the north side of that front. That means we're going to see cooler air drop down from the north. We're also going to be on the influence of that high pressure. So that means we're going to see sunny, dry conditions for a few days as well. But in the meantime, those storms tonight, the yellow area, well, we're looking for those temperatures, we're looking for those storms to be a bit stronger with those gusts up to 60 miles per hour. We're looking for hail, heavy downpours, the whole gambit tonight. Tomorrow, the next few days, we stay pretty dry. Then we're looking for those storm chances to pick back up as we move into the weekend with those temperatures dropping just a tad.
Lauren, thanks so much for an update there. As we come back into our newsroom now, we are monitoring in less than an hour the late Senator Lindsey Graham's funeral will get underway at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. He died on July 11th back on July 11th, rather. And earlier today, his casket was placed inside of the Capitol Rotunda for lawmakers to pay tribute. And again, this afternoon, they're going to be gathering for the first of 2 funeral services. Fox's Rebecca Castor joins us live from our nation's capital. And Rebecca, thanks for being here. Let's start with what's been happening today in Washington and what's going to happen for the rest of the afternoon.
Hi, Tyler. Well, there are several events to honor the late Senator Lindsey Graham today here in Washington. First this morning, as you mentioned, his casket was brought to the U.S. Capitol building for the final time. And there was a short ceremony in the Capitol Rotunda where several senators and Vice President J.D. Vance gave some remarks. Later this afternoon, we will see the hearse pull up here at the National Cathedral for the first of 2 funeral services. The service here at the National Cathedral is considered his larger national service. President Trump is going to give a eulogy, as well as Fox's Sean Hannity and Senator Graham's niece. And then after this service is when Senator Graham will travel back to South Carolina for the final time. He will have another funeral there tomorrow before a private family burial.
Who's expected to attend today's funeral services?
Well, there are several high-profile guests that are expected to be in attendance today, not only President Trump and the Vice President, but also world leaders as well, like Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
And so the late Senator Graham, let's talk about this real quick, had been championing the Russian sanctions bill. This is something he was really passionate about getting passed. Do you have the latest on that?
Yes. So tonight, the Senate is going to take a procedural vote on this bill. That was one of his final acts before Senator Graham passed, was getting President Trump's blessing on this bill. But the Senate's been struggling to pass it before their August recess. As I mentioned, Ukrainian President Zelensky is also here in Washington today. He's going to meet with more senators tonight. He, of course, is a champion for this bill as well, wants to see it passed. If it does eventually pass, it would be the final exclamation point on Senator Graham's legacy. And his funeral today could really be the emotional backdrop, maybe that final push needed to get it across the finish line.
lastly, before we let you go, what's happening with his Senate seat real quick?
Yes. So with his passing, this leaves an open Senate seat in South Carolina for the first time in more than 2 decades. Of course, we know his sister, Darlene Graham, was appointed to fill the vacancy by the governor. At first, she wasn't going to run for the full term, but after President Trump's blessing, she did announce her candidacy. It's a very crowded GOP primary. She faces at least 9 other candidates, and she doesn't have a lot of time to really identify herself politically. Besides her ties to Graham, she's really a political outsider. And that special primary is coming up on August 11th.
Rebecca, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon to talk about what's going on in Washington today for the late Senator Lindsey Graham. I do appreciate it. And as we continue on here this afternoon, let's talk about this real quick, a little closer to home. There are now less than 6 hours to make your vote count in a special election today. The race in the 13th Congressional District will fill the late Congressman David Scott's vacant seat. Scott died in April. Several people are running to replace him, including his daughter, and if needed, a runoff is scheduled for August 25th. And let's see if we can take a live look outside real quick as we head to break. We still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live. Here at 1 o'clock, we are back in just 2 minutes. And welcome back to Fox 5 News Live on this busy Tuesday afternoon. Let's talk about this. So today is a somber day for the friends and family of Katie Janness. And today marks 5 years since Katie and her dog, Bowie, were both savagely stabbed to death in Piedmont Park. And their bodies tragically discovered by Katie's partner, who went looking after they never returned from a late night walk. And 5 years later, no arrests have been made. I'm not sure if we have any pictures of her. There we go. And so Katie Janness, so far, no suspect, description, or motive for the crime has been released, and Katie's friends and loved ones are frustrated her killer is still walking free. And when Katie was murdered, there were no working security cameras inside of Piedmont Park, and that has changed along with other measures taken to make the park safer, according to city officials. And I should mention I did reach out to APD this morning, and they told me, quote, the investigation remains highly active at this time. And so joining us now is retired Atlanta Police Homicide Detective Vince Velazquez. Vince, thanks so much for being here and lending some of your expertise this afternoon.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. So the Katie Janness case has been a topic of discussion for a lot of people, especially in the Midtown area and in the Atlanta area. This has obviously marked 5 years today since her death, her tragic death, where she was brutally stabbed to death along with her dog, Bowie. What does it say about the investigation that police still have not announced any arrests, and seemingly we haven't heard a lot of information about the case, new information released?
Well, this is a case what we would call a perfect storm for a perpetrator. There were so many things that were going against the investigation from the onset. As you mentioned earlier, the cameras that were there, they just weren't working. Had they been working, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation today. And then this case here, it's one of these cases that they don't have a lot of scientific evidence. They do have some, and even if they did, and I'm talking about DNA, there's a system called the CODIS database, which is a DNA profile database of offenders, not just in Georgia, but throughout the United States. And that's not always 100% reliable. So right now, I love that the Atlanta Police Department said that they are aggressively still pursuing this case. I know who the lead detective was in the beginning, and I know the team that's working on it now, and they're very capable and committed to try and solving this case. But this is one of those cases that, there wasn't an abundance of people in the park that late at night. Not a lot of witnesses, and one would have to ask the question: with the amount of injuries perpetrated against this victim, that person should have had some blood on them. Someone may have seen them. I still believe this case is solvable, and I'm just happy to see that the APD is still taking it seriously.
Well, and obviously you have a lot of experience in homicide investigations. 16 to 20 years, something like that, in the homicide division at Atlanta Police Department. So obviously you know a lot about these types of investigations. And if you think it's solvable, that's obviously some good news here, because obviously your gut might be saying this is a little harder. The question I want to know, though, with it being 5 years, is this something that would be considered a cold case at this point, or based off what Atlanta Police is saying that they're aggressively working it, that maybe this is still within the homicide division's jurisdiction?
So it is a cold case. It's a case that, they have explored some leads early on, and they didn't prove to be fruitful. But what I'll say is that the cold case unit lives within homicide, within the Atlanta Police Department's homicide unit. So there's a special unit within homicide that deals with cases just like this. It's the complex cold case unit. I was part of that before I retired. And they have some very experienced, competent detectives, some of which I work with who are still there. So those detectives are working on this case, but I think the public has to understand that there are other cases that they're working on as well, other cold cases. When I was in homicide, when we started the cold case unit, we went back as far as we could imagine, and we identified upwards of 1,400 or more cold cases going back to the 1940s. Now, we're not going to be looking at 1940s cases right away, and I still believe every case is solvable, but starting with the science, these detectives are looking at evidence in this case, what could be done with this DNA profile that exists, what other advances in technology that, the case hasn't caught up to yet. Sometimes, time is the advantage. Sometimes if you wait, technology then develops to a point where there's some things we couldn't have done 5 years ago that we may be able to do today or next year or the year after. So I will say that this is a case that they take seriously, but they're also tasked with many other cold cases as well.
And so this being the 5-year mark today, is there something that detectives and investigators working on this might be looking at, maybe trying to find a new witness, more evidence, better technology, a right tip, stuff like that? Is that, being 5 years removed from the actual incident, what would detectives be looking at today that hoping to hopefully help break the case?
Well, I don't know that the 5-year mark is as significant as an anniversary and what that means to the public. And I say that not just, Katie's family, but also to those of us that live in the city of Atlanta. This is a case that everybody remembers and will remember. And sometimes they use those benchmarks to have press conferences to bring more awareness to it. And I think the key is, as on one front, we're waiting for science to maybe reconcile this case. You have witnesses, some who've already been interviewed and provided statements. Sometimes recollections change. Sometimes people start to recall things that they may not have remembered, or there may be a reluctant witness that gave information that held something back, or a witness out there they haven't identified yet. And I think if they're attacking that on both fronts, looking at the science and what the science can help with this case, and then also reevaluating everyone that was interviewed, and then trying to identify whether or not they have more information, and then look at other people they may not have identified yet that may have information. And I think that's kind of how they're approaching this, and that's how I would approach it right now, is to make sure that this case, continuously is investigated. Now, one thing I will tell you, and I know they do this, is this case isn't sitting on a shelf and not being examined. If you work in cold cases, they're sitting on your desk. As you're doing things, maybe even eating your lunch at your desk, you're looking through this. You're looking at what statements were made. You're evaluating what other detectives have done, and then you're also letting other detectives get fresh eyes on it. So the more people who look at this case have a different opinion, there may be something that was missed.
And just super quickly before I let you go, how does a monetary reward impact something like a cold case?
It's very useful. A monetary reward, even especially if you can remain anonymous, is extremely useful because it incentivizes people to come forward. And it's no judgment on the person that waited to, cash in a reward to give that information. Some people are afraid of repercussions. They don't want their name in a file. They don't want to testify in court, but they're going through hard times, and they need to live. They need to pay their bills and feed their children. So this is extremely helpful. And as that reward increases in numbers, that also may increase the motivation of someone who may have information coming forward.
Well, Vince, we could be talking about this all day. I appreciate your expertise, and I appreciate you joining us here on Fox 5 this afternoon to talk about just these types of investigations as we now mark the 5-year anniversary of Katie Janness's brutal death inside of Piedmont Park. Vince Velazquez, thanks for joining us this afternoon.
My pleasure.
And as we come back into our newsroom now, as we switch it up a little bit, I want to talk about a different story that we are monitoring right now. And this has to do with Rainbow Village, and they're expanding their mission to help families experiencing homelessness, and with 2 new housing buildings that are under construction. So we sent our Maria Guzman out to check out the progress. Maria, show us around. What can you tell us? And obviously this sounds like a great thing for people in the community.
Hey Tyler, I'm fully immersed in today's story. That's because I'm right here at the construction site. Those buildings that you see behind me, especially this one, this is one of those buildings, and right here is the second one, and we have some crews actually on site that are working. But the construction site here, it's been going on since October, and they hope that they'll be finished by mid-February. But for Rainbow Village, that means that they're going to be able to serve more families who are experiencing homelessness. Now, Now, their numbers are going to increase from 30 families to up to 66 families, so a really big reach. But what's really cool about the work that they do here is that they not only provide housing, they also equip families with life skills. So by the time they leave this program, they are able to go into apartment or even be homeowners. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
What I really love about this organization is that it brings people in that are in that situation, in need, and then the main goal is to get them back on their feet. So they have a program that they've established that over a course of however long it takes, they train or teach these residents about finances, about how to take care of yourself, how to take care of your credit. Well, they're more than doubling their capacity here. So they currently have can serve 30 residents or 30 families, I should say, and this new expansion is going to serve 36. So together they'll have 66 places for families to make that life change for themselves. We just walked through the buildings, and the apartments are large. They're going to be very nice. There's 2 and 3 bedroom apartments, and so I think anybody that comes here will feel very like they're at home.
The people that live here do have children, and even more importantly, or as importantly, not all the children are typical. Some of the kids have special needs, and that comes with additional stress on these families, emotional stress, financial stress. It adds to those that are experiencing homelessness are experiencing so much of a greater stress in their lives. So children are definitely involved from an early age, and into their teenage years. Construction's coming along great. We are being told hopefully February of 2027 it will be complete and ready for families to move in. And really the whole campus is excited about it. The existing buildings are getting revamped as well at some point, but the new buildings just are creating an excitement and hope for the future for families that are experiencing homelessness.
And so even after the families leave this program, leaders here stay in contact with them for up to 3 years. Tyler.
Maria, I love this. This is obviously going to be so great for people in the community. Maria Guzman, thanks so much for joining us. We'll check in with you a little bit later. We still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We're back in just 2 minutes. And welcome back to Fox 5 News Live on this fabulous Tuesday afternoon. The time now 1:39. Let's talk about air travel and the busy summer travel season right now, which is going strong, and airports are certainly crowded, and flight delays can raise anyone's stress level. There are ways to make the journey a whole lot smoother, and joining us now is best-selling author and seasoned road warrior Brandon Blewett, who is sharing practical advice on staying calm and avoiding the common travel mistakes. Brandon, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here. We're glad to talk about this. Obviously, a lot of people are traveling this time of year. Families are trying to get those last-minute summer travel trips in before the kids have to head back to school. So we're seeing a lot of full airports and plenty of delays this summer, especially here in Atlanta. Certainly lots of delays because of weather. What's the biggest mistakes travelers can make in the moment they find out their flight has been delayed or canceled?
I think panic. I think the best thing that you can do is calm down, realize these are situations that are outside your control, and then see if there's alternatives, right? If there's a delay to your flight because of a mechanical issue, if you're in Atlanta, there may be 3 or 4 or 5 flights after yours that are going to that same destination, or maybe there's a nearby airport. And if you're proactive and you go to a gate agent with a solution already in hand, a lot of times they're able to make those changes for you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously things happen, and so hopefully they can make those changes. It's unfortunate, though, when on a Sunday when you have a couple of ground stops and you have lots of flights delayed, some flights canceled, every flight becomes full, and then you're waiting a day or two to be able to get where you're going. And unfortunately, when those delays and cancellations pile up, a lot of folks can end up having those airport meltdowns. We've seen a lot of those on social media. How can travelers mentally prepare for a stressful travel day so that they don't end up and making it either on the news right here on Fox 5 or in general on social media?
I think that with air travel, generally speaking, especially in the summer, just lower your expectations, right? And I say that in jest, but think about it. There are summer storms everywhere that are going to impact flights. It is summertime, so not only are there business travelers, but there's families, so it's crowded, so it's hot. So when you go into the experience, I would say mentally prepare yourself as though you're going to Costco on a Saturday or a Sunday, right? Sometimes when you go into those situations expecting the lines to be long, the parking lot to be a mess, when those things happen, you're prepared and you don't react as negatively. Whereas, if you're expecting it to be, at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday at Costco, that's not going to be the same experience, especially in the summer.
I feel like I was being called out there because I go on a Saturday at 3 p.m. every single week, it seems like, and I wonder why it's so busy because, everyone had the same idea. Let's go at the same time on a weekend. Let's talk about your book real quick, 6 Habits of a Highly Annoying Traveler. You talks about, including in your book, you included that. What are some of those most annoying habits that you found?
I think the most annoying as it relates to invading your physical space is what I call the backpack wrecking crew. Think of somebody that walks on the plane with a large backpack or maybe a satchel on their side, and they think the plane aisle is, time to spin around like we're in a Zumba class. Well, everybody that's sitting in the aisle seat now has a black eye. So I find myself very much so gauging what bags people have on their backs and maybe leaning in, not too close to my seat neighbors so that they're annoyed. But I think that one is probably the most annoying. And if everybody would just hold their bag in front of them as they get on the plane, I think that creates a little more spatial awareness of what your bag is doing to other passengers. But I'd say the most frequent one is what I call the eager exiter, and that's the plane gets into the gate, the seatbelt sign goes off, and everybody just makes a bum rush to put their bags in the aisle. And it's just frustrating because there are people that are probably in rows 11, 12 and need to go back to row 15 to get their bags, and all we're doing is just extending the deplaning process. And I've actually seen a few airlines and airports, their X accounts calling people out for this. So hopefully that will help to send the message across.
Yeah, I mean, the one you said about getting hit by the bag while they're walking down the aisle, I had that happen to me just a couple weeks ago when I was heading to a wedding in California. Hit me right in the face. Very annoying because the person clearly knew it was on the back of their back, and they're still just swinging it around like it's no one's business. And then it hits me, and they were like, "Oh, did it hit you?" And then didn't really even say I'm sorry, but I digress.
Didn't even send you a drink? I mean, come on.
Let's talk about this real quick, since we have just a little bit of time left. If you could give viewers one piece of advice before they head out to the airport for the remainder of the summer, or even as they get ready for the Thanksgiving and Christmas travel periods in just a couple of months, what would it be?
prepare, I would do two things. When you're at home, make sure you get sleep the night before and you are hydrated, you have a meal in you. You're going to be in a better mood when you get to the airport. And then I would say control the things that you can. Check the time it will take you to commute to the airport. Plan your commute accordingly. Look for a parking spot. Reserve that ahead of time. Understand how long it's going to take you to get from the garage or a lot to the terminal. And then take a look at what TSA wait times are at the airport. A lot of times that is available to you. Add that all up and then maybe just put 30 to 45 minutes on top of that. And that's going to help you alleviate a lot of the stress associated with getting to the airport and making sure you get on your plane.
Brandon, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Travel author Brandon Blewett, appreciate your time talking about this as folks try to get that final summer trip in before the kids head back to school, or just that summer trip in before you have to go to work and have to make that money. But I appreciate it, Brandon. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me. Yep.
And as we come back into the newsroom, I want to talk about something that is happening right now in Hampton. It's a very cool event going on. So they're using Legos to bring officers and families together. So this is the police department there trying to bring people together there. Let's check in with our Eli Jordan. He is at the event today. Eli, what can you tell us about this really unique event?
Hey, Tyler. Yeah, I'm in the city of Hampton. Actually, it's about a town, about 9,000 people and about 23 officers. And the seats behind me here at the depot, here in the middle of town, the train depot, well, they were filled up this morning with a very popular event, the big Lego build. A little bit of a community connection with the police department here in Hampton. We still have some here, though, checking it out, building the Lego police department that's going to be in the lobby of the Hampton Police Department. But with me right now is Chief Bo Turner. How you doing, Chief?
Good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So, first of all, you're a Lego fan yourself.
I am.
And so how do you feel about today? I mean, with all these tables were filled up, all the chairs were filled up. I mean, this was a popular event.
Yeah, I think we put together about 110 sets between the smaller and the larger set, and then we have the big one we're still working on.
And so, this is the first time to do the Lego build here in Hampton, correct?
It is.
And so, tell me, I mean, with the success, all these kids coming out, you filled up real quick. Do you plan on doing this again?
Yeah, we're definitely going to plan a couple for next year. We were overwhelmed with the response. We filled up within the first 15 minutes of it being posted online.
And just tell me, why is it important, for you guys to have a, community outreach like this and have the kids come in and even, some parents come out. I'm going to walk around you here and see what some of these shots are. But
yeah, I think any time that you can show law enforcement in something other than law enforcement activities is positive for the community. It's positive for the kids to see it, but it's also positive for the parents and to show that the officers are people of the community just like everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, this is, especially, common interest. I mean, I see, police officers here just as interested in getting these things put together as the kids are. I mean, that says a lot when you have a common interest like that, correct?
Yeah, it's fun. It's been as fun for the officers as it was for the kids. I've seen my officers smile more today probably than in the last month and a half.
And this isn't the only outreach project you guys have, is it?
No, sir. We do a big event with Cops Day every year. That's August 22nd at the McBrayer Park in Hampton, and everything's free for the community, and we expect probably 2,000 kids to come out to it.
Awesome, and your Facebook, you guys promote things on the Facebook. I guess that's the point where people can come out and check out the social media.
Yeah, absolutely. The Hampton Police Department Facebook page is our best form of communication. We have some other avenues that we're working on, but that is definitely the best to see what we got coming.
And I guess keep an eye on it early because this filled up really quick. You say, huh?
It did. Within 15 minutes of it, we were full, and then we expanded to double, and we still filled up within an hour.
We have a little bit of video of the projects going on. You had cruisers.
We did. We had police cars. Everything was police related, but we had police cars, SUVs, had a police station, a smaller police station, and then we have the bigger one that, like you said, we're going to display in the lobby. It'll take a couple days to build. It's 3,000 pieces, and staff's working on it with a young fella now, and we're going to get it done and put it on display. Also, I had everybody that participated to sign, and we're going to display that in the lobby of the police department as well.
You got a couple of displays in your office as well, huh?
I do. In there now.
Awesome. Well, hopefully this will stay in the lobby once it gets built and all that, and you won't hoard it into your office with all your other collections, but I know it'll be hard to resist. Well, Chief Boturner, Hampton Police Department, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here and talking with us. And Tyler, that's what's happening here at the depot. This is kids got here early, packed out, and they're about to be wrapping this up today, but it's been a great success. Over 100 kids out here today, hanging out with the police department, putting Lego sets together. Tyler, back to you.
That is an incredibly unique event to be able to bring police officers together with kids and to be able to do something like this to kind of build community within the town of Hampton. Eli, thanks so much for showing us that, and so glad that the kids had something to do and something fun to do today, especially since it's such a hot day out there. Eli, thanks so much. We'll check in with you a little bit later. Yep. And we still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live at 2. We're back in just 2 minutes. And welcome back to Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We're so glad you're here. Let's continue on this Tuesday afternoon. A unique summer camp in Marietta is giving teen girls the chance to train with Life University's women's rugby program. And our Chris Rosenthal is live out there with a look. Chris, obviously, people don't always hear about rugby in the States, but I mean, it's great to see that they're doing something like this. And also, the Life University's women's rugby team got 3 national titles.
Nice, Lib.
Yeah, absolutely. Last season, 3 national titles. I mean, I'll be honest, I did not realize that Life University and here in Georgia, such a big deal, rugby here. And so that's why they're having this first year of this summer camp for these young women here, ages 13 through 17. They're doing some practicing here now. They've been doing this for about a week here on Life University campus, and getting trained by their coach here, by Coach Rish here, and also Bella Vogel. She is a Life University student, but also really cool. She played on the women's national team. Actually, one of the youngest, I think the youngest player on the women's national rugby team. So they're getting your instruction here. Tell us, first of all, we may not know much about rugby. Tell us a little bit about rugby in a nutshell. What is it?
I feel like a lot of people explain it as like rugby is soccer and football kind of mixed together, and it's definitely its own thing, but I think that is like one good way if people don't know what rugby is to kind of go over it. Obviously some of the main rules, like you can only pass backwards. It's full tackle, so girls, we also full tackle, and You can kick, you can pass, you can run, when you score, it's called a try.
And no pads?
No padding, yeah. Mouth guards, and that's really it.
And this is the ball?
And this is the ball. It's a little bit bigger than a football, I'm sure, but yeah, it's actually not too heavy, but it's decent. Yeah.
Similar, not as pointy.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about what you're doing out here with these girls this week. Talk to me about the training that you're giving them here.
Definitely trying to I feel like replicate the college kind of experience and showing them how fast play needs to be and what the standards are when you get to the next level. And I think it's definitely been helpful for them because now they're okay, this is exactly what we need to do and look forward to the future and definitely start setting new standards for girls.
And new standards, and the standards are pretty high here. So do you see a lot of potential here for some players that could rise?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I mean, girls are starting younger and getting skills faster than I've ever seen. So I'm really excited for them.
And really quick, got about 30 seconds here. We got a big game coming up Monday.
Yes,
Tell me about it. You're playing, huh?
Yes. So Life is going to be playing the Falcons side, which is the team right under the USA national team. And I'm going to be playing for the Falcons, so I'm going to have to play against Life. But it's going to be a really good game, and I'm so excited. So
really good game, and some of the best players out there here at the Life University Fields in Marietta.
Yes.
Monday, what time?
6 p.m.
6, yeah.
Yes.
6 p.m. here.
Yeah.
So that'll be exciting as well. So this camp here, getting these young women potentially ready for a career in rugby here, and some absolute star players here teaching them. So back to you, Tyler.
Chris, thanks so much for a look at that, and good luck to them as they take the field for that in the coming days for that big matchup. Thanks so much, Chris. And that is going to do it for us for Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. I'm Tyler Fingert. Don't go anywhere. Ariel Onstott will be joining you at the top of the hour.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here with us live on your Tuesday afternoon. It is great to see you. We've got a lot of news to get to, like we always do. So let's start off outside of Grady Memorial Hospital, where we're learning more about a man who is hoping to recover after being brutally attacked. Our Annie Mapp joins us live with more on the situation. Annie, what are you learning?
Hi, Ariel. Good afternoon. We now know that victim is in serious condition here at Grady. We're told the man is in a coma after he was seriously beat last Tuesday morning before 4 outside of a Krispy Kreme in the West End neighborhood on Evans Street Southwest. Now, Atlanta police is saying that this attack was completely unprovoked. They say a suspect that you are seeing on your screen is now on the run, and they are accusing him of causing those brutal injuries that have now landed this victim in the hospital. Police are asking anyone who recognizes this man or who has any information or who may have seen what happened last Tuesday morning to please come forward. They are offering a $5,000 reward for information if you can lead them to a tip that will make an arrest, or if you could mention a tip that will lead them to make an arrest. I did speak to a woman who said she was walking in the area shortly after this crime happened. Take a listen to what she said.
Paramedics said he had been beaten in the head pretty bad. And then the lady from Krispy Kreme said someone had hit him with a rock.
Yeah, and of course we are still waiting to hear more details from Atlanta police. They haven't identified the suspect that you see in that surveillance footage, but of course they are asking anyone who does to please come forward. Ariel?
Annie, good that we have a description and we're able to see the video of the person that police are looking for. Have they released any further details about why they're looking for this specific individual? What makes them think that he could be responsible?
Yeah, so we have reached out to APD for more information on what exactly is leading them to believe this man is the one behind this crime. But as of now, we're still waiting to hear back.
Okay, Annie, thank you. As soon as we get those details, we will let you guys know right here on Fox Local. In the meantime, Annie, I'll let you continue gathering information, and we will see you again later this evening. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, something happening today as well. Colt Gray is back in court for a sentencing hearing. This is continuing as the courtroom is hearing more witness testimony from those affected by the tragedy of the Apalachee High School shooting. Ultimately, the judge has to determine Colt Gray's sentence for the September 2024 attack that killed 4 people at Apalachee High School. Colt Gray admitted guilt to 55 charges stemming from the deadly violence nearly 2 years ago at Apalachee High. The shooting claimed the lives of students Mason Skirmerhorn and Christian Angulo, alongside teachers Christina Ermy and Richard Aspinwall, leaving numerous others hurt as well. Now, ultimately, we've heard testimony from multiple friends, family members, and others in the community affected by the tragedy. We also heard from Dr. Kevin Richards, a forensic psychologist who testified during the opening day of the sentencing hearing Monday regarding the teenager's mental health and home environment. He told the judge that Gray endured severe family dysfunction, drug-using parents, and faced untreated depression and paranoia. Richards clarified under oath that Gray does not have schizophrenia. However, the psychologist noted that Gray connected with an online group dedicated to true crime and mass shooters, including Parkland, Florida killer Nicholas Cruz. Richards had testified during the hearing that the teenager could improve if provided the appropriate treatment, because ultimately the judge has to decide whether or not he's going to get life in prison with or without parole. Life in prison is something that he is going to be facing. It's just whether or not he will be able to have parole is what the judge has to decide, and he's hearing all of this testimony to ultimately make his decision. Now, on the other side, during cross-examination, prosecutors argued that Gray planned the attack meticulously and exaggerated his mental health issues. They pointed out during his law enforcement interview on the day of the shooting, Gray mentioned that Cruz was notorious for faking schizophrenia while being questioned. A prosecution witness testified that Gray saved over 2,000 photos of Cruz on his phone, and investigators also disclosed that the number 38 was carved into the Sig Sauer style rifle used in that assault. So we will continue to keep you updated as the court proceedings progress. Right now it does appear that the prosecutor is at the stand, so as this moves forward, we will let you know what happens. In the meantime, let's talk a little bit more about this tragic story, because today marks 5 years, a somber day for friends and families of Katie Janness. 5 years since she and her dog Bowie were both savagely stabbed to death in Piedmont Park. Their bodies were tragically discovered by Katie's partner, who went looking for her after they never returned home from a late night walk. 5 years later, no arrest has been made, no suspect description or motive for the crime has been released, and Katie's friends and loved ones have been expressing their frustration that her killer is still walking free. Now, when Katie was murdered, there were no working security cameras in Piedmont Park. That has changed, along with other measures taken to make the park safer. We understand that APD continues to look into this case, and according to a statement from the Atlanta Police Department, they say the investigation remains highly active at this time. We will keep you updated as we get any new details, but if you know of anything 5 years later, you were at the park at that time overnight, you may remember something, give police a call. Speaking of overnight, let's talk about this situation that unfolded in a Buckhead neighborhood. A driver escaped their wrecked purple Tesla and ran away from the scene. This unfolded in a Buckhead neighborhood around 2 a.m. this morning, and the driver behind the wheel of this purple Tesla struck multiple cars, trees, pillars, statues, a gas meter, and a power pole, and the car eventually landed in a ditch next to a home, leaving the vehicle smashed with its roof caved in. The driver managed to get out of the car and ran away from the scene. Atlanta police officers responded to this crash near Northside Drive Northwest and Norfleet Road Northwest. Emergency responders took the driver of a second vehicle hit during the crash to the hospital. Now, preliminary information indicates the driver who was hurt was hit from behind by that purple Tesla. Utility crews spent the morning trimming trees and digging holes to replace the destroyed utility pole and restore power to the neighborhood. People living inside the home where the Tesla swept through were not hurt, thankfully, but ultimately police are now trying to figure out who this driver is and where they are at. They have not released that driver's identity or the condition of the injured driver taken to the hospital. Speaking of car accidents, let's talk about this crazy video that we got from a Waymo crash, or rather a crash involving a Waymo vehicle. Ultimately, 2 people were hurt Sunday night in a fiery crash involving a Waymo on Cheshire Bridge Road in Northeast Atlanta. Now, firefighters say what appeared here, what it looked like, is a Jeep crashed into the back of this autonomous vehicle, this Waymo, sparking an intense fire. Now, firefighters rushed out to the scene, and data from Waymo shows the autonomous vehicle was turning left off of Cheshire Bridge Road when the other car rammed it from behind at 33 miles per hour. That impact triggered a rapidly growing fire in the back of the Waymo. Ultimately, firefighters say that one of the Jeep's occupants suffered burns and the other had complaints of a shoulder injury. No passengers were inside of the Waymo at the time of the collision, so that is good news because this likely could have been much more serious. But take a listen to what Atlanta Fire and Rescue says about these autonomous vehicles and how they handle these sorts of crashes.
Crews treat these incidents carefully, recognizing that damaged batteries and energized electrical components require specialized awareness. The airbags get deployed, they're automatically going to pull over and park. They're not going to be mobile anymore. It's designed to stop and notify Waymo's Fleet Response Center.
Ultimately, Waymo praised the quick actions of the firefighters. Atlanta firefighters have been trained on how to fight electric car fires, and Waymo says if you're involved in a crash in one of their vehicles, it's best to remain calm and exit in a safe location. Now, I also want to let you know, because we have seen this story a lot of people, a lot of questions surrounding this story when two men were killed near a popular trail, and ultimately we are getting the identities now of those two men. Officials are publicly identifying those two who were found shot to death inside of this park in DeKalb County last week. The DeKalb County police officers had initially responded to a shots fired call at Constitution Lakes Park around 5:50 in the morning Friday. When they arrived, they found two men dead outside of a vehicle in the parking lot near Doll's Head Trail, very popular park here in DeKalb. And ultimately, the DeKalb County Medical Examiner's Office is identifying the victims as Andres Pedro Balsatar and Tomas Pascual Cano, and both men died from multiple gunshots. Ultimately, we understand that police have been investigating this crime and have not released a description of any suspects or what may have led up to the shooting and killing of these two men, but we will keep you updated as we get any new information. In the meantime, let's talk about this case in Cartersville. Police are asking for the public's help in identifying information that can help solve a case now 26 years old, a brutal murder. Our Deidre Dukes has been digging into this for us. And Deidre, it is great to see you. Thank you for joining us live. What is the GBI and law enforcement sharing with you?
The victim is 53-year-old Patricia Ann Hanlon, and she was murdered 26 years ago this week. So this is a very somber anniversary for all who knew her, her family, police, investigators who've been working this case on and off for the past 26 years. She was found murdered in her apartment here in the city of Cartersville on North Irwin Street on July 27th of 2000. And we were told that she had been murdered, they believe, between July 21st and July 27th of that week. She did live alone, and so there are just a lot of unanswered questions surrounding her death. They are hoping, as they bring new tension, new light to this cold case, investigators here with the Cartersville Police Department working alongside the GBI do hope that now that some time has passed, anyone who knows something about this case, who for whatever reason may have been afraid to come forward, that they might speak up, provide some information. We were told that Miss Hanlon was a very religious woman. When she was not at work, you would find her at her church. She worked in the daycare center, so she was well loved and is well missed. We talked to Cartersville police investigators, and here's what they told us this afternoon.
Somebody has to know something. Anything that you know or you think that you've seen or you heard that is involving this homicide, I would urge you to come forward. Anything is helpful at this point. There's nothing too big or too small.
And of course they can remain anonymous.
Yes, ma'am. There's multiple ways to submit a tip. You can call the Cartersville Police Department directly. We have a tip line online that you can remain anonymous, as well as the GBI. You can call them directly, or they have an anonymous tip line. You do not have to say who you are. If you want to remain anonymous, that's perfectly fine.
And police are not releasing information as to how Ms. Hanlon died, but they do say it was a very violent death. Again, they are urging anyone with information, Ariel, to come forward and help them solve this case and give the family some peace, some sense of peace all these decades later.
26 years, Deidre, such a long time, and yet someone has to know something. I understand, like you mentioned in talking about some of the details of this case, that there were clues that were maybe missed in the initial stages based on how they found her, and so hopefully someone knows something and this family can have answers after a couple decades. Deidre Dukes, thank you so much for joining us live. We will see you again later this evening. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, let's switch gears. I'd like to talk a little bit about some national news and things happening live right now. Let's go live to Washington, D.C., where the late Senator Lindsey Graham is being laid to rest. Ultimately, funeral services are unfolding at the Washington National Cathedral. We have dignitaries and dignitaries, lawmakers, and other spokespeople from around the world here at this funeral. You're taking a look at President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and others there as we are waiting for more on this funeral service to begin. Right now, the priest is giving the benediction, and you can see Chief of Staff, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles there also to the end of that row. Now, as we have all of these different shots unfolding, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's happening here today as you watch live, and then we are going to dip in and listen to part of this. So let me catch you up to speed, because ultimately, former South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham's casket was placed inside of the Capitol Rotunda earlier this morning. Lawmakers paid their respects, and then now this afternoon, what you are watching is the first of two funeral services. We understand that Senator Lindsey Graham is going to be laid to rest ultimately in his home state of South Carolina. But first, they are coming together to honor him here in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill. Now, we've heard him described as a statesman, a family man, and a great friend. And ultimately, we understand that members of the armed forces carried his casket into the rotunda. You were able to watch some of that video just a bit ago, where U.S. Capitol Police honor guard stood watch, a nod to his decades in the service. I'd like to bring us live to the shots that we were seeing just a bit ago. So you're looking at video from the rotunda this morning. Let's go back live. There you go. You can see right now as we're watching the priest stand here at the Washington National Cathedral ahead of an audience including President Donald Trump and others. So we are going to stay on these live shots here while I continue to keep you updated on what is unfolding. It's been a solemn ceremony. We understand that earlier today, Vice President J.D. Vance and lawmakers have remembered Senator Lindsey Graham as a dealmaker who worked across the aisle. Politicians and world leaders are gathering for this funeral service at the Washington National Cathedral. President Trump is expected to deliver the eulogy. And we also understand that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky are both here to attend this funeral. And now, before his passing, Lindsey Graham won the president's support for a bipartisan Russia sanctions bill. The Senate is now struggling to pass that piece of legislation before the August recess, and supporters don't want to lose the chance of pushing it through. But Zelensky is expected to meet with senators tonight, where they are expected to take a procedural vote on the bill. If it eventually passes, it would be the final exclamation point on Lindsey Graham's legacy. I'd like to let you listen in to part of this service. It looks like the priests are giving opening remarks, so let's listen in, hear what they have to say for just a minute. So this funeral service is just starting, and I want to give you a little bit of an overview as to where we're headed here, because ultimately we do expect President Donald Trump to deliver a eulogy. We also expect remarks from Fox News' Sean Hannity and other conservative leaders. And like I mentioned, we have world leaders in attendance from Ukraine, Israel, and elsewhere. Ultimately, the services, this is the first of 2 days of ceremonies for Lindsey Graham. Tomorrow he will be honored in his home state of of South Carolina with a procession at the State House and a private burial. As I see others giving remarks here, this is going to continue for some time. So as I see others step up and give remarks, we'll work to dip in live to let you listen in. But ultimately, this is just getting underway. So let's continue with some other news items here to keep you updated. We spoke a little bit about how Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is in town, meeting with President Trump as well. We understand that ultimately no progress has been made in peace talks with Iran. Middle Eastern allies are scrambling to get the U.S. and Iran back to the bargaining table, but there's no consensus on big issues like Iran's nuclear program and ultimately what is to be done about the Strait of Hormuz. For the fourth day in a row, there have been no direct attacks by either Iran or the United States as the diplomatic process is playing out. But mediators from Oman are now reportedly floating a new proposal, joint regional control over the Strait of Hormuz with voluntary fees for those who use it. President Trump says Iran is on the ropes after months of U.S. airstrikes, but the Iranians tell a different story. The key sticking points remain Iran's nuclear program and freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. Some Republicans say political considerations are holding back President Trump from expanding the war. At the same time, that could limit Iran's options because after the midterm elections, the president will have more flexibility, according to some analysts. President Trump also meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today, their first face-to-face visit in 5 months. And we understand that Benjamin Netanyahu is hoping to convince President Trump to expand the war. So this is something we will continue to keep an eye on. But speaking of the war with Iran, we understand this has made fuel prices incredibly high as the Strait of Hormuz has not been open and shipping has not been flowing as freely as it once was. So we've seen a lot of airlines raise their prices as a result, and as a result of that, try to be a little bit more competitive with customers. Airlines are getting creative and trying to get people to buy tickets, and one airline, JetBlue, is now introducing a new first-class seating option. So we've seen JetBlue now say that passengers will be able to choose from one of 4 flight experiences with options including Main, Even More, Blue First, or Mint. So those are your 4 categories to choose from. Each category varies in seating areas and onboard amenities. Once a category selection is made, customers can then pick out one of the 3 fare options, ranging from base to standard and flex. And once that happens, company officials say that base will provide the lowest fares for customers focusing on price, with seat selection not included. The base fare option will not be available for the Mint onboard experience, and this new structure comes after United and Delta announced similar discounted fare options. So airlines working to remain competitive amid all of the changes that we have been seeing. I'm taking a look over to my right. President Trump has just stepped up to the podium to deliver the eulogy for Senator Lindsey Graham. I'd like us to go ahead and listen in.
And a force to be reckoned with all over the world. For more than 30 years, nothing of consequence happened in this Capitol without Lindsey Graham knowing about it. Nothing of significance happened anywhere in the world without Lindsey Graham having a view on it. And no bill became law in the most exceptional republic in human history without Lindsey Graham having a say in it. He was a man who gave America the full measure of his good and mighty heart until that heart itself just gave out. But even though Lindsey's life was cut short while he was still so full of vim and vigor, there can be no doubt that he lived absolutely to the fullest. He died doing the work he was born to do. He was truly a great politician, serving the country he loved to serve so deeply. He went out at the peak of his career, at the top of his game, as a legend that every one of us, many of us here today, are blessed to know him, and a friend that none of us will ever forget. There was truly nobody like Lindsey Graham. It was his hometown of Central South Carolina that Lindsay first learned the art of politics. His parents ran a bar and pool hall on Main Street with a room in the back where the family spent and had to do. As Lindsay said, his father taught him the key to being a successful bar owner is that you have to be funny enough that people will keep coming back, and that you have to be tough enough that you can stay in business and thrive. A very difficult combination. For his entire storied career, that's exactly who Lindsey Graham was. He was the first person to make you laugh, and one of the last people that you've really ever wanted to fight. These were the traits that made him into one of the great figures in Senate history. Few like him. As a boy, Lindsey also learned his first lessons in diplomacy when the wife of one regular patron called the bar asking for her husband. She demanded to know, where is he? The man instructed Lindsey, tell her I'm not here. And young Lindsey nodded and said into the phone to the wife, he said to tell you that he's not here. That was Lindsey. When Lindsey was just 20 years old, he lost his mom to cancer. 15 months later, he lost his dad. Their deaths left his 13-year-old sister, Darlene, an orphan. But in God's mercy, she had her wonderful brother to take care of her. On top of it all, Lindsey became her guardian while still in college and helped raise her. He later said that for all his achievements, and he had many, his single proudest accomplishment in life was how well Darlene turned out. He had total respect and love for Darlene. Nothing could be more fitting than that woman who was Lindsey's proudest legacy now continues his legacy of service in the U.S. Senate, a place that he cherished. And I have no doubt that he's looking down today, beaming with pride at his sister, Senator Darlene Graham. Thank you, Senator. Lindsey first stormed into Washington with the Republican Revolution of 1994, becoming the first Republican to win his House district in 120 years. That was Lindsey. In 2002, he ran for the Senate in what should have been a loss, and he swept to an easy victory.
You're listening in as President Donald Trump speaks about the life and legacy of Senator Lindsey Graham as he delivers his eulogy at the Washington National Cathedral. This is one of two funeral services for the late senator. He will be returning to his home state of South Carolina tomorrow, where he will ultimately be laid to rest in a private burial. We'll continue to keep an eye on this ceremony live as it unfolds. In the meantime, we're going to transition a little closer to home to get your weather forecast with meteorologist Lauren Robinson coming up next. Welcome back, everyone. I am Ariel Onstad here with meteorologist Lauren Robinson. Lauren, I understand we have some storms on tap for tonight.
Yeah, tonight we're going to see some late night storms, the type that hopefully you're already home in bed for and they're not really altering any plans. But ahead of those storms, we do have a lot of heat and humidity that's really going to give some of these storms some juice to get going tonight. But right now we're seeing those temperatures in the 90s. Some areas have already made it into the middle 90s, like Eatonton, 95 degrees there, 93 in Covington. We're seeing 92 in downtown Atlanta. Same goes for Noonan, as well as over in Athens. But as we take a look at our heat index values, well, it feels like the triple digits all across North Georgia. This is a hot day. The only areas that aren't seeing triple indices right now are triple digit indices right now are Noonan, Griffin, and Gainesville, and they're breaching that area. We're at 95-degree heat indices there. Oh my gosh, that is so hot. And that's why we have a very large area of heat alerts all across the south, really, and that includes most of Georgia, where we do have heat advisories in place until 8 o'clock. That's because we're going to see those heat indices really roughly where they are already, up to 105, 109 degrees. So you want to make sure you're paying attention to any sort of heat-related illnesses. Bring those pets inside. Check on your elderly neighbors. You want to limit any strenuous outdoor activities today, that kind of thing. But that front that's up north a bit, that's going to drag its way southward overnight. And as you take a look at our hour-by-hour forecast, that's what's going to bring us those storms tonight. That front is going to bring in some pretty strong storms. It's also going to bring in cooler temperatures. Once we're on the north side of that front, that means we're getting our air down from the north. So those temperatures will fall a bit, just a bit though, only into the upper 90s as opposed to the middle 90s that we're going to see today. So they're going to fall about 5 degrees or so. But in order to do that, we need that front to pass us. And as it does, that's where we're looking for the strong weather tonight. Areas in yellow are level 2. Areas in green are level 1. This is all out of 5 for severe weather late tonight. And that means those areas in yellow, that's where we're going to see the strongest storms up to the northeast. Tonight, we're looking for storms to pack a punch. Damaging winds, heavy downpours, localized flooding. That's going to be what we're looking for in both areas. But level 2, I think that's upgraded to a bit where maybe we could even see some larger size hail and maybe even a spin-up tornado as we move into this evening. So certainly something we want to pay attention to after around 7 or 8 o'clock tonight, and then toward maybe around midnight, 1 a.m. Now, as we take a look at the next few days, once that storm passes us by, that's where those temperatures get a bit cooler. By cooler, I just really mean more seasonal. Low 90s is actually where we're supposed to be this time of year, and with the high pressure that'll be overhead, we're going to see sunny, dry conditions for a few days before our next front pushes in just in time for the weekend to dampen those plans. We're looking for some isolated storms on Saturday, becoming more widespread by Sunday. Each day, though, we're looking for those temperatures to cool down a bit. So while we're getting those storm chances this weekend, on the bright side, at least those temperatures will be a bit more manageable.
Yeah, I need some relief, Lauren. And at the same time, I'm like, not that I'm complaining about all the rain we've gotten, but I feel like this summer pattern, I've become acquainted with it, and maybe I'm ready to move on from it. But it's not going to end anytime soon. No. I like the Wednesday through Thursday stretch, or Wednesday through Friday stretch that we have. Yeah. I like low 90s. I like sunshine. I'm a poolside girly. I'm a lake girly. So I'm not ready for summer to end yet. But of course, while we need the rain and we need to keep it here and there, we don't really want it on a weekend. No, it's going to dampen your plans. Definitely not. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And you guys, coming up next, we are going to get the latest on Falcons training camp, and we have more news. So stay tuned. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here live with me on your Tuesday afternoon. We are just getting news for the Colt Gray sentencing that is happening this afternoon. Earlier at the top of 2 o'clock, I mentioned how the judge is listening to witness testimony as he decides sentencing for the now guilty Apalachee High School shooter. Ultimately, we understand at 3:40 this afternoon, the judge will come back with his sentence and his decision. Right now, the camera is on the seal in the courtroom, which means that court is not in session. And the judge, I understand, is weighing the testimony he has heard so far and will come back with a decision before 4 o'clock this afternoon. We will continue to keep you updated as we get any new details or developments regarding this, but ultimately the judge is deciding whether or not there will be parole for Colt Gray as he is facing life in prison for the 55 charges he has been convicted of. Let's switch gears here and go out to Flowery Branch. I mentioned just a bit ago that we are going to get a look at how Falcons training camp is going. Our Lexi Bowden went out to see how it's happening, and Lexi, great to see you out there in Flowery Branch. Well, how is it going? How is training camp looking?
Yeah, it's looking great. This is really the first day we got our eyes on all the players. So the first day of actual training camp practice will begin tomorrow. Today was the day that veterans had to report for camp and rookies reported a few days ago. So today, you see Drake London walking in, Chris Lindstrom, Brandon Dorless, Braylon Trice. Those are some of the guys we saw walking in as they make their way up to the dorms, find out who their roommates will be during training camp, and then officially start practice tomorrow. This week, though, kind of a ramp up period. No pads yet, and training camp is closed to the public until Friday. That's the first day that some members of the public can see them. That's just season ticket holders. And then Saturday is the really big day. It's back together Saturday. Of course, this year, I feel like the buzz has been, what is this team going to look like under the new leadership of head coach Kevin Stefanski and general manager Ian Cunningham, and what the differences might be from years prior under Raheem Morris. We talked to Brandon Dorless, who's a defensive tackle for the Falcons earlier today, as well as Nick Folk, who's the new kicker, a 19-year NFL veteran, which is crazy. And just listen to what they had to say about entering training camp in 2026.
I was excited, man. Back at home in Miami training, with my usual trainers. I'm excited to get back with this new staff, get back with Coach Nate and the new guys in the room, get this defense going, and then, man, let's go win some games.
Always excitement. I tell us everyone that there's nothing like playing on Sundays. Being in front of people, being in front of your fans and playing, there's nothing like it. So training camp just the start of that, and I'm just excited to kind of get rolling.
Yeah, it's fun to actually finally talk to these guys and compare, like Nick Folk, who spent 19 years in the NFL, and his rookie season was 2007, and you compare it with Avion Terrell, who's a rookie and following in his older brother's footsteps. So going to be really cool to see what this team turns out to be, and we'll hear from head coach Kevin Stefanski tomorrow about his vision and what he wants to focus on in training camp. But a lot of excitement and nerves and energy surrounding the facility here in Flowery Branch.
Lexi, just incredible from one football to the next. We go World Cup, and now we're already gearing up for American football, and it's really just incredible because the sports team has been so busy. We've been so busy. We're already talking about football season returning. Kids are about to go back to school, and I know some of you here in our chat, TikTok, YouTube, some of you guys weighing in. We have someone saying, go Falcons, and I understand some people are really ready for football season. And for all the fun that it entails and potentially heartache. But we're not saying that with the Falcons, Lexi. We're hoping for good things this year.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk to any of these players and you ask them what their goal is for this season, you either hear like playoffs or Super Bowl. Those are like the two biggest things, especially because they were so close to making the playoffs last year, 8-9. Tied a three-way tie in the NFC South with the Panthers and the Buccaneers, and because of tiebreakers, the Falcons weren't able to earn a spot in the postseason. But I think that's something they're really looking forward to this year, is coming out super hungry. Week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, that game scheduled for September 13th. I mean, we still got a month and a half till then, but training camp is that first step towards success in the regular season.
Looking forward to it. Lexi, thanks so much as always for joining us. Can't wait to see you again later this evening. So Lexi Bowden, thank you so much. Well, from one football to another type, you might say, we're talking about rugby now, okay? And I don't know if you knew, but Life University has won 3 national titles. Their women's rugby team has. And this summer, they are hosting a bunch of girls for a summer training camp. Our Chris Rosenthal went to Life University to check it out. And Chris, it's great to see you. What an exciting opportunity for these young ladies.
Yeah, absolutely. What an exciting opportunity indeed. And here on the Life University campus, and those young ladies, ages 13 to 17, getting to come here for the week and train with the coaches here, and train with really, some of the best. They're actually kind of behind me now, taking a little bit of a break, a little bit of a water break. It looks like they're coming back out now to get on the field here and do some more training. But like you said, 3 national championships past season for Life University. Really big deal here. And I got one of the players here, and Liberty Benitez. She is one of Life University student senior and player on that team, and also a counselor here. And tell me, first of all, just about this camp. Tell me about these girls and what you're training for them in.
Yeah, so they get to experience the high-level facilities that we have and just the environment that we get to be in every day. They're experiencing the lifts with us, and we're doing double sessions out here and in the heat, and it's just an amazing opportunity for them to just feel what it's like to be a college athlete and just really immerse themselves in this experience and develop their skills at a high level.
And speaking of high level, I think a lot of us didn't realize that Life University in Georgia here had rugby at such a high level. Talk to me about that. What's the draw for players to come here?
It's just, for me, it's just the growth that this program just gives you. It's super intense environment, and every day you're being pushed to a high level and different standards. So, and it's lovely outside, and I'd love to play it all year round, and you can do that in Georgia.
Yeah, and in a nutshell, for those people watching, may not be too familiar with rugby, tell me a little bit about it.
It's a high-level, high-speed contact sport with a little bit of tactical and technique that really takes those mini details and makes it really important. The faster you can play and the harder you can just do that at this level, the better you're going to be.
Yeah, and there's tackling here and no pads, huh?
Yeah, no pads.
Oh, watch here. All right, and so big game coming up on Monday. Tell me about it, and you'll be playing in it.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's going to be so intense, and it's one of its kind. This hasn't happened before, a college team taking on a USA side, and we 2 different opportunities like this. Playing in the club national championship last year was the first of its kind, and we fortunately won that. And then we have the opportunity to face the Falcons on Monday, and we're really hoping to come out with the growth that we want and hopefully out on top.
Yeah, so the Life University Running Eagles playing against the development team for USA Women's Rugby, right?
Yes.
And the Falcons here on campus here at Marietta on Monday, 6 o'clock. And public's welcome. Anybody's welcome to come watch. And you can come watch Liberty play. Some of the fine players, some of the best out there. Pretty exciting and a unique experience. Rugby, big sport here in Georgia.
So cool, Chris. I think about all these young ladies, and I think about Ilana Moore, who went on to the Olympics and really got her spotlight, if you will, in rugby, and she's been such an inspiration for so many women. And so I can only imagine some of these young girls probably turning to the sport now because of women like Ilana. So this is a wonderful thing, and can't wait to see what they're ultimately able to accomplish. Chris Rosenthal, thank you so much. And thank you guys so much for being here live with us. We've got more ahead, so stay tuned. We're going to talk about a nonprofit that's building 2 new buildings to support families experiencing homelessness. Straight ahead. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thanks so much for being here live with us during the 2 o'clock hour. Let's talk about a nonprofit that's working to help families dealing with homelessness. Our Maria Guzman joins us live from the construction site at Rainbow Village. Maria, it is great to see you. Share what's happening here this afternoon.
Hey Ariel, it's really exciting. Just the lives that here the organization is impacting with the new buildings that they are going to be launching. They're going to be able to serve much more families. I mean, their numbers are going to more than double from 30 to 66, so a big reach. I'm going to go ahead and flip my camera to show you guys just how active and busy the scene is. We have workers that have just been here all day, but with me too, here I have Melanie, and Melanie is the CEO of Rainbow Village. So just Melanie, first question, what really led you to want to expand? I know you guys already help families, but say we want to expand to 2 new buildings.
Yeah, so we knew that we needed to expand. We stay full all the time, our current apartments, and we had almost 2,000 calls last year for service. Wow. And so that led us to know, even years before that, that there's a need in the community and we wanted to be able to serve them.
Got it. You know, just tell me about the stories, because you see just families from different backgrounds that gone, you know, just through different seasons. So just tell me a little bit about the stories and the families that you meet here.
So we meet families from all kinds of backgrounds, including grandmothers raising their grandchildren, couples, single moms, single dads. We had a gentleman who was a minister in church, and his daughter experienced a lot of mental health issues, and so he ended up having to take over 2 11 and 12-year-old girls.
Wow.
As a grandfather.
Wow.
But he ended up here, but they were able to be very successful, get themselves back on their feet. They're doing well now, and so it really depends on a lot of different circumstances on how people get here.
Okay.
But we're hoping that they leave much better than when they came.
And you guys not only give them a place to stay, but you also equip them with life skills so they're ready by the time they leave this program.
Yeah, so we call our life skills training Pathways to Progress. That was actually named by the families, and that is an opportunity for the families to learn skills that they may not have learned growing up. Some of us take some of those things for granted about how to manage money or how to keep a home even. And so we're able to help them in those areas, both the adults and the children, so we can break that cycle of homelessness.
Amazing. So that is something that we are telling you guys in this hour. Stay with us for the next hour. And something really neat too is that a family can stay here up to 2 years, and then they walk hand in hand with families up to 3 years after Ariel.
Maria, incredible resource in our community, especially for families who have nowhere else to turn and really need this help. So it's wonderful to see those buildings going out. Thank you so much for giving us a mini sneak peek, and we'll see more from you at 3, Maria. Thank you. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, you guys, let's talk about a little event that happened earlier today to help get people acquainted with their police officers. And I understand it was a popular medium, Eli Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong, were they building Legos with police officers? Is this what this was about?
That's what they were doing, yes. Police Chief Bo Turner here, he's a big Lego fan. He's got the Mona Lisa Lego set hanging up in his office, and he's got a couple other sets. So he's a big Lego person, and so they decided to do a little community outreach. Town of 9,000 people. I got a little video of earlier today if you want to show that. And this was a very popular event. 23 officers, town of 9,000 people. It got sold out like within minutes when they posted it on, registered, closed out within minutes when they posted it on their Facebook page. And it turned out to be an extremely popular event. It was, standing room only here at the Depot in downtown Hampton. And the kids got to put together police-themed Legos like cruisers, motorcycles. I'd say even I thought I saw a paddy wagon in there. But also, too, some officers were working on a larger Lego build of a police department, which will be put on display in the Hampton Police Department lobby. And I spoke to some kiddos and the chief, and here's what they had to say about the event today.
This event looks great, and we can build cool stuff like Legos in here.
What all did you make here?
So I built a car and a motorcycle.
Did you enjoy this event?
Yes.
Why?
Because we can bring kids and spend time together.
Cool. Now, Liam, what about you? What all did you build?
So I built like this with my brothers and this Lego motorcycle and my Lego car. And what I think about this event is it's pretty great because of the creativity that kids can do with Legos, and they can help them, like if they want to grow up to be a builder, Legos, they can help them figure out. It's like building for beginners.
Cool, awesome. You did great, Liam. Now, Liam and Sebastian's mom, I got to ask you this. What do you think about this event?
Oh, this is amazing because parents and kids can come together and have fun and know new people. And it's really good for the kids' imagination and creativity.
Do you think this helps develop good relationships between citizens and police officers?
Oh, yes. It's amazing. What they're doing here, I love it. I hope they do it again.
You enjoy Legos as well, right?
I do. I have a love for it, and so it's great to share and build with them.
Yeah, when you share a common bond, it kind of changes the dynamic for the better usually.
Yes, sir.
So do you think you'll be doing this again?
Yeah, we definitely will. After October, we expect to plan a couple during the next calendar year, and just with the overwhelming response, we're going to make sure we get everybody that want to participate, be able to include them.
Liam and Sebastian there with their mom, and then Bo Turner, Chief of Police here at Hampton. And Chief Turner says that it's important to do these things to show that cops don't only show up when something bad happens. They're humans just like everybody else. They have the same interests and all that. And you develop a good relationship, especially between the younger kids who see that there could be some positive things when you're hanging out with police officers, and that's what they're kind of kindling here in Hampton with the Lego build. And of course, they want to do it again, and they will do it again because it seems to be a very, very successful event. Ariel?
Yeah, Eli, this looks like a lot of fun. Who doesn't love Legos, right? It's a great crowd pleaser. So what a fun way to bring the community together. Really cool event, Eli. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. And you guys, thank you for being here live with us at 2 o'clock. Eli will have more coming up at 3. In the meantime, I do want to let you know within the 3 o'clock hour, we are expecting to learn more about the sentencing regarding Colt Gray. Just before 4 o'clock, the judge is expected to come back with his decision on whether or not to give Colt Gray life with or without parole. You may remember Colt Gray has pled guilty to 55 different charges in relation to the Apalachee High School shooting. All that and more coming up at 3 with Tom Haynes. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being live at 2. I'll see you again tomorrow.
everybody. Welcome to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on this Tuesday afternoon. Appreciate you joining us. I'm Tom Haynes with you, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom for the next hour, covering a lot of live stories. We're expecting a sentencing in the Colt Gray Apalachee High School murder trial at about 3:40 this afternoon. Of course, the judge can kind of come and go as he pleases. If he makes up his mind, he may enter the courtroom early. But we are watching that. We have our cameras up right now, and we will be talking about that here shortly. And of course, bringing you that sentencing here live during the 3 p.m. streaming hour. Also, want to take you to Washington, D.C. right now, where we are getting some live pictures right now of the funeral of Senator Lindsey Graham. The senator being memorialized today, his casket now being carried. It was first in the Capitol Rotunda, then moved to the National Cathedral, now coming up into the Rotunda once again as lawmakers pay tribute to the late senator who died suddenly not too long ago, just about a little more than a week ago over the weekend. The statesman, the family man, a great friend on both sides of the aisle to so many in Washington, especially President Trump himself, who spoke at Senator Graham's funeral this afternoon. There you see the very top leadership of our government, starting with President Trump there on the left, Vice President J.D. Vance there in the middle, and Scott Bessent, the United States Treasury Secretary, on the right, with Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, directly behind him. We did hear from the president, and I'm going to play you a little bit what the president had to say here in just a couple of moments, not too long ago. We also heard from Fox News host Sean Hannity was among the headliners at Senator Graham's funeral. So just wanted to dip in, show you these live pictures, let you know that we are listening in to Senator Graham's funeral service. I do have a little bit of sound from President Trump, which I'm going to play you here in just a couple of moments. But we want to turn our attention to some news happening locally here in our own neck of the woods. A former Gainesville city employee facing nearly 100 felony counts after allegedly stealing $1.5 million from local taxpayers. Let's get out to our Ray Urena, who is on top of this story for us this afternoon. Ray, tell us a little bit more about what happened here.
Yeah, Tom, this employee, his name is Carl sorry, I'm going to take this out as I can't hear myself. The employee's name is Carl Timothy Tench. He's a 14-year employee of the city of Gainesville, and authorities arrested him on Friday, and he bonded out of the Hall County Jail over the weekend. He's now facing a total of 99 felony counts. Bid rigging, first-degree forgery, and of filing false documents. And authorities in the city say that this is due to what they're calling an elaborate scheme tied to bids that he allegedly rigged for HVAC units, so those heating, ventilation, and air conditioning units. Now, they say that he's facing 33 charges each of those previous charges that I just mentioned. He's 66 years old, and he was also prominently featured on the Gainesville City's Facebook page for his past years of service. And the city manager, Brian Lackey, says that they discovered the irregularities during an internal audit in the spring that connected to those HVAC purposes to the city's Department of Water Resources. And he says that through that investigation, they uncovered a pattern of bid rigging and fraud using the city's purchasing system. And it took immediate action by firing Mr. Tench and working with the Gainesville Police Department to build an evidence-heavy case that resulted in this arrest. And here's how city officials allege Tench went about this scheme. They say that he allegedly rigged bids for equipment he bought on behalf of DWR by securing the low bids under a different identity. And they allege that he procured checks for the HVAC units by submitting legitimate but inflated purchase orders. And investigators say he used a portion of those checks and of those to buy the HVAC units and then pocketed the difference. Now, as you can imagine, taxpayers here in Gainesville are learning about this just recently as the city just put out this information. We talked to one man earlier today, and here's what he had to say about his opinion about what it says potentially about the city's leadership. Take a listen.
I think it points more toward the leadership of how something like this could slide for so long. Because obviously we're not talking about, $10 here and there, but like we're talking, 6 figures, 7 figures. So it's like, makes you question some of the authorities of like how stuff like this slides. Because obviously it's a, city position, and I'm assuming the dollars that are towards that is from locals.
Yeah, so he was definitely frustrated learning about this, but other residents told us that they are glad that the city was able to capture and find out that this alleged fraud was happening through that audit. Now, earlier today, we tried to get in touch with Tench. The numbers that were listed for him were disconnected, so we actually knocked on his door, and he was home, and here's how that interaction took place. Okay, it looks like we don't have that second audio of this door knock here, but we knocked on Tench's door. He was there, and he actually unlocked the door. He goes by Tim for his middle name. He said he was Tim. We asked him if he wanted to speak, to share his side of the story or have any comment. He said no, he was good, and then shut the door in our faces, Tom. Now, the city says that they have just started a secondary audit of all of their departments for fraud or potential abuses, and they have no findings to report as of now. And they say that the investigation into Tench is ongoing, Tom.
Yeah, Ray. It just sounds like especially when you're talking about so much money, obviously it was a very complex alleged operation here that we're talking about. You can understand why taxpayers are upset. Their money's supposed to be going through the appropriate city channels. And when you hear of an alleged action like this, do they say how far back, and you might have mentioned it already, how far back this scheme allegedly was?
Yeah, Tom, they only said several years. They didn't say the exact amount of time that this happened, but we do know he was promoted to his current position as a maintenance supervisor in 2019. And obviously with that superintendent thing, you can oversee the purchasing requirements and all of those bids that you get for requests for proposals from the city. So it dated back a few years, but we do know he was promoted to his position in 2019 and served until this June, but they did not say exactly over how many years this alleged fraud took place.
Just startling, and so interesting to hear what people are saying up there in that community about what allegedly happened here. Ray Arena on top of the story live for us from Gainesville this afternoon. Ray, thanks so much. We're on top of breaking news this afternoon, and that is we expect a sentencing at 3:40 this afternoon from the judge who's presiding over the Colt Gray murder case. Colt Gray in court. He's the accused Apalachee, or confessed, I should say, Apalachee High School killer. The 16-year-old pleaded guilty to 55 charges for the September 2024 mass shooting that killed students and teachers there at the high school. During testimony, a forensic psychologist shared that Gray suffered from severe family dysfunction. So his defense team is trying to frame to the judge, now that he's admitted to his crimes, that he has psychological problems. He says that he worshipped other school shooters, like the Parkland shooter down in Broward County, Florida, that he had visions of things happening in his head, that he was in chat rooms which discussed school shootings, that he was, according to his team, schizophrenic, although some witnesses in the courtroom seem to somewhat dispute that. Prosecution witnesses pushed back on all of this, however, arguing the teen meticulously planned and calculated the attack, and even pointed out more than 2,000 photos of the Parkland shooter, who I mentioned just a couple of seconds ago, Nicholas Cruz, which were saved on his phone. Now, surviving students, grieving family members were in the courtroom urging the judge to give the maximum penalty as he decides whether Gray will be eligible for parole or spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. The judge excused himself from the courtroom not too long ago and said that he would be back with a sentence at 3:40 this afternoon. Our cameras are fixed live in the courtroom. Our reporter is there as well, waiting for this verdict. We have the ability to stream it the second it happens, and when it does happen, you will see it here live. Today, another somber day for friends and family of Katie Janness. It marks 5 years since Katie and her dog Bowie were both savagely stabbed to death in Piedmont Park. Their bodies tragically discovered by Katie's partner, who went looking for them after they never returned from a late-night walk. 5 years later, and still no arrests have been made, no suspect descriptions or motives for the crime released. Katie's friends and loved ones are frustrated that her killer is still walking free. When Katie was murdered, there was no working security cameras in Piedmont Park, something that's changed between then and now. APD has been forthcoming in the status of its investigation, saying that the investigation remains highly active at this time. Atlanta police are searching for a driver who fled on foot after crashing a purple Tesla in Buckhead early this morning. Investigators say the crash happened about 2 a.m. near Northside Drive and North Fleet Road, leaving a trail of destruction that included multiple cars, trees, statues, a power pole. Tesla finally landed in a ditch next to a home with its roof caved in, but police say the driver managed to escape and then run away from the scene. Emergency responders took the driver of a second vehicle to the hospital for treatment after a chase that spanned 33 miles an hour and sparked that intense fire. No passengers inside the Waymo at the time, but inside that Tesla rather at the time. But utility crews spent the morning working to replace the destroyed power pole and restore power to that neighborhood, while investigators continue their search for that runaway driver. Now onto a story of this Waymo that caught fire in Buckhead not too long ago. Take a look at the video here. After 2 people were injured, this happened Sunday night after the fiery wreck involving this driverless Waymo vehicle on Cheshire Bridge Road in northeast Atlanta. Data from the Waymo shows the autonomous car was turning left when a Jeep rammed it from behind. Now, no passengers were inside the Waymo at the time, but 2 occupants in the Jeep suffered injuries, including burns. The Atlanta Fire Department's come out and said that they're finding new ways, new strategies, new training on how to respond to accidents involving autonomous vehicles.
Crews treat these incidents carefully, recognizing that damaged batteries and energized electrical components require specialized awareness. The airbags get deployed, they're automatically going to pull over and park. They're not going to be mobile anymore. It's designed to stop and notify Waymo's Fleet Response Center.
So that was Captain Andrew Anderson of the Atlanta Police Department. Atlanta Fire have been trained on how to fight electric car fires, and Waymo says that if you're involved in a crash in one of their vehicles, it's best to remain calm and exit the vehicle as soon as you can. DeKalb County Police identifying the 2 men found shot to death at Constitution Lakes Park last week. The medical examiner's office identified the victims as Andres Petro Baltazar and Tomas Pascal Cano, confirming both died from multiple gunshot wounds. Officers originally responded to a shots fired call about 5:50 a.m. on Friday and found both men dead in the parking lot near Doll's Head Trail outside of a vehicle. The deaths are being investigated as a double homicide, but police haven't yet released suspect information or details on what might have happened here. Let's talk about another story making headlines this afternoon, and that is a new mixed-use development coming to West Side Atlanta near the Beltline, and neighborhood leaders are calling it a major win for that area. What are we talking about here? Angelique Proctor live in the district with what this means for the surrounding community. Angelique?
Into darkness.
Well, good afternoon to you, Tom. I can tell you that I've talked to people on the west side who say this part of town has been neglected for years, but they feel like things started moving in the right direction, and they say their hope is to continue it that way. Now, they had hoped that the property that you see behind me would become a mixed-use community. Right now, though, what they have learned is that the company that was hoping to buy it and expand the Atlanta mission here will not do that, and they say that is really good news. They say they would like to see this area develop just like many other parts of town with a lot of economic development. We are just feet from the belt line here on Donald Lee Hollowell. We're not far from the Fulton County Jail. Lots of condos are going up in this area, and they say they want to see more to go up. Now, we're talking about the 15 acres that you see behind me here. Right now, that acreage is owned by a company, and the company really has no idea what they are going to do with the property. But the councilman here, Byron Amos, as well as community members, are pleased that they now know the Atlanta mission will not expand here. Let's take a listen.
Did get a letter from the potential buyer that they were no longer interested. So now it is back into the hands of the owner. The location of what they was doing, right next to our belt line, was the issue with me and a lot of people in the community. Everyone, I believe, in the community support the unhoused. We need the services here in the city of Atlanta. Mixed-use retail, all of the services that can serve the people in the community behind it and around it. I mean, people often talk about coffee shops, talk about pharmacies, talk about restaurants. Those are the things that we would like to see brought to this property.
My reaction is pretty consistent to what it has been, in that we are not against the work that the Atlanta mission does. The West Side residents, we understand that their work is needed.
Taking you out to Peachtree DeKalb Airport, where this small plane has just made an emergency landing. These are live pictures of this aircraft that we understood was in some sort of distress and was approaching the airport. Obviously, no weather conditions involved here, but we understand that the plane completely lost power, and so was forced to alert airport personnel that it needed to make an emergency landing. When that happens, and this is our camera above that scene, Skyfox 5, which was hovering live above there. The airport cleared all other air traffic and allowed this plane to touch down. Again, the flight, I understand, was on approach to the airport, lost power in his engine, and then alerted tower authorities, and they cleared the way for him to make that emergency landing. But I wanted to cut into our reporter, unfortunately, Angelique Proctor's story about this great mixed-use development, which people in the area are very happy to hear about, to bring you these live pictures. This is Skyfox 5, which is above the situation and is now on its way to another breaking story. But that plane, thankfully, looked like everybody was safe on board. It was able to touch down after, again, losing power and arriving at Peachtree DeKalb Airport just a short time ago. We showed you that touchdown here live as it happened. Want to take you back live to our nation's capital and show you the funeral service for the late Senator Lindsey Graham, who passed away the weekend before last. He's being laid to rest with several dignitaries, foreign leaders, the President of the United States, all on hand, the Secretary of State and other cabinet members there in attendance to wish not only their thoughts and prayers to the Graham family, but memorialize the late senator, who was known for his bipartisan relationship on Capitol Hill with so many lawmakers. President Trump took the lectern not too long ago to remember his friend.
Lindsey Graham was strong and steadfast. As a brother, a senator, a warrior, and a patriot, he withstood every last test, every single test that you can go through and every trial. And now he wears the crown of life in heaven, reunited with his parents and reunited with his Lord.
President Trump speaking not too long ago at the funeral service for Lindsey Graham. the late senator who was lying in the Capitol Rotunda not too long ago, where there was a very moving moment. His sister came up to the casket fully consumed by emotion, as you can understand, placing her hand on the coffin of her late brother. As we continue here on what has been a busy Tuesday afternoon of news, we're going to check in with meteorologist Lauren Robinson. Boy, they promised heat, indexes into the triple digits, and it is delivering out there. It's another hot afternoon. We're going to check in with Lauren to find out how long this heat is going to last when we come back. All right, welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. Tom Haynes, meteorologist Lauren Robinson here to talk about the weather. Lauren, you guys were like, it's going to be really hot this week, especially after Monday and the rain we got yesterday morning. And you delivered on that promise because it is scorching hot out there today.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are probably wishing that the forecast was wrong today. But no, it is certainly hot and humid, and that's why we have several heat advisories really all across the South, not just Georgia. So let's go ahead and dive right into these temperatures. We're seeing those middle to upper 90s in some areas. Yes, 97 degrees right now. That's not the heat index. That's the actual temperature in Eatonton. We're seeing 95s in Athens and in Covington, 94 right now in downtown Atlanta, even up north in the high country, 89 degrees in Blairsville. We're getting a little bit of a breeze kicking in from the west, but not enough to cool you down as much as what you would need if you're outside, because take a look at the heat index all across North Georgia. Look really hard to find a place that's not in the triple digits right now. It feels like 106 outside in Atlanta. This is why we have heat advisories in place, because this is dangerously hot. And it feels like 106 in Canton as well. It feels like 109 in Covington, 108 in Eatonton, as well as out in Rome. So this is why we have those heat advisories, because again, it is dangerously hot out there. If you've spent any time outside today, then I don't have to tell you, but let's go ahead and take a look at these heat alerts all across the South. This is going to be until 8 o'clock this evening. This is really the majority of Georgia. The only places that aren't included is going to be the coast near Savannah and then the high country near Blairsville. Still going to be hot in those areas, just not quite as hot as what everyone else is seeing. So with these heat advisories, these heat alerts, you want to make sure that you're not doing any sort of extra strenuous outdoor activities today. No long run outside this afternoon. You also want to make sure you're seeking shade and shelter whenever necessary. Stay hydrated. Bring the pets inside. Check check on your elderly neighbors, relatives, you know, that whole shebang, because it is just so hot out there. Now, the good news is, as we take a look at our Viper radar, that front that's dripping just north of the state, that's going to push by us. It's going to bring some strong storms tonight, but after it passes us by, we're going to get a little bit of relief. That humidity is going to wind down a bit. Those temperatures are going to drop a bit once we're on the north side of that blue line. In the meantime, not a whole lot happening right now as we zoom in. We're starting to see some storms up north. That's going to be north of Blairsville through Tennessee and into North Carolina there. We're not looking for any of that to push through our way until late tonight. So once that storm passes by later tonight, that's where we are going to look for some storms stronger off to the northeast, but we will be seeing some storm chances even push their way into downtown Atlanta. Hopefully you're in bed and at home by the time this happens. This will be in Atlanta maybe around midnight or so. So hopefully not too impactful, but maybe some lightning, thunder could wake you up, get you out of bed for a little bit. As we go into the day tomorrow, again, as long as we're on the north side of that blue line, that means cooler temperatures, that means less humid air. So our humidity is going to drop down a little bit. Our temperatures drop down into the low 90s, and then that high pressure takes over Thursday and Friday. High pressure means sunny, dry. So we get to be sunny, dry, and on the cool side of that front. That means Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those are perfect days outside before our next front comes through for the weekend, bringing more storm chances. But for those storms tonight, the strongest weather will be off to the northeast through Virginia and into the Carolinas. We're looking at northeastern corners of our viewing area into that level 2 as well. That level 2 does have a chance maybe for an isolated spin-up tornado, but what we'll really be looking for the majority of our area is going to be that level 1. That means all of the green and yellow, we're looking for those damaging winds. We're looking for maybe some hail, some heavy downpours, lots of lightning and thunder. Now, that doesn't mean every area that's colored in will see a storm tonight. That means if there is a storm overhead, these are the areas that'll get the strongest weather. So we're looking for that in the yellow areas roughly by around 6, 7, 8 o'clock tonight. In the green areas by around 9, 10, 11 through midnight. It's going to start to the northeast and then push southward. So it's going to be we're going to see the timeline kind of shift as it goes southward there. But again, once that front moves by, take a look at those temperatures. We drop from the middle 90s today to the low 90s through the next few weeks, or through the next few days, through the next few days. And that's actually right where we should be this time of year. So sunny, dry, seasonal Wednesday through Friday. Those are your outdoor days. This weekend, another front pushes through. That front brings cooler weather, yes. It's also going to bring more widespread storm chances, especially Sunday into Monday. Saturday storms are looking to be more hit or miss, so you might still get some outdoor times on Saturday, but as that's still a few days away, we're going to wait to iron out those details as the models become a bit more in agreement. What you really just want to plan for is going to be just hold out on that heat today and just make it to tomorrow.
Yeah, hunker down.
Yeah.
Our air conditioners are going to be running big time, but as you said, if we can make it past Tuesday, it might not feel so sweltering out there.
Exactly, and it's going to be nicer because the humidity will also drop down a bit as well.
And then some kind of summertime rain rolling in here over the weekend. Lauren, thanks. Want to take you to live pictures. Situation happening right now up in Clayton County. Clayton County PD there on the scene after a burglary call turned into an active standoff. This is on the 1500 block of Rock Cut Road in Connolly. Our Fox 5 photojournalist Stephen Herron is there operating the camera on the scene. Joins us now live. Stephen, what's the situation here? Is this the sort of the conclusion of what's been happening?
Hey, yeah, it does look like things are possibly wrapping up right now. I'm seeing some SWAT vehicles back out. The road seems to be opening a little bit more than it has been. A lot of officers moving around. Initially, this came in as a call as a burglary in progress involving 3 suspects, 2 of which were taken into custody. And then the third suspect was barricaded here. I'm not sure of their status, but it does look like it's wrapping up here. And,
I
spoke with someone who lives.
Sorry, Stephen.
Sorry?
Tell me about sort of the circumstances which led up to this situation happening in the first place. How long has this been going down?
Well, it started around 9 this morning, so pretty much all day. This road here, Rock Cut Road, has been closed off. and there's quite a bit of activity, multiple SWAT vehicles. I saw a drone up above. It looked like they were using gas. They had their guns drawn with gas masks on. I had to move a bit farther back because I was a little too close, but if we roll some of that VO, you can see some shots of the actual house that was involved. And I spoke with a neighbor just kind of about the situation, if we have that sound.
Treat these incidents carefully, recognizing that damage.
It's people next door to there just staying in the house and don't stay there. They just in and out, a lot of them, like 3, 4 of them a night. Everybody just in and out all night to the next morning. Well, they knocked on the door and told us we had to get out because they got a problem next door. They didn't tell us what the problem was. They said they just have a problem next door. We need to get up, put on some clothes, and let's go. And that's how we came out. No telling what be going on around here, but they in and out, and it was like about 3 or 4 of them. So we really don't know what took place there today. I just know they said we had to come up out the house. We were looking out the window like, what's going on? And so we just got him put on some clothes, and he knocked on the door, the police, and said, y'all got to leave. So we got some unfinished business next door that we got to get some people up out of here. So that's why we down here.
Have you? All right, and back out here live. That was a neighbor I spoke to, and she didn't seem all that surprised that this house was involved in something like this. So that was kind of just a reaction from a neighbor that I saw out here. It does look like it's wrapping up right now.
Yeah, Stephen, great job getting that sound from that neighbor, even though she's not surprised something like that is happening in that house. What an upsetting situation for people who live sort of along that street to see this convoy of SWAT officers moving in to de-escalate that situation. You might have mentioned it, but I was listening to a couple of other things as you were talking. Do they have the person who they were dealing with, that barricaded individual, in custody now?
I don't know for sure. I can only just go off of what I'm seeing, but it does look like it's the most likely scenario.
Yeah. All right, Stephen Herron, our Fox 5 photojournalist there, live on the scene for us. Possible robbery call turned into this barricaded standoff, but it looks like that situation has been brought to a conclusion thanks to the work of Clayton County Police and SWAT. So, Stephen, thanks so much. As we continue, we're going to get out to our Doug Evans, who's going to talk to us about a story involving fraud and Barbie. How the heck do those two things go together? It's a crazy story. We're going to talk about it as we continue. Want to bring you now to the Barrow County Courthouse where we are on sentencing watch in the Colt Gray Apalachee High School murder trial. I'm showing you this because the judge has left the courtroom to deliberate what kind of sentence he's going to hand down to Colt Gray, whether it's going to be life in prison without parole or life with the possibility of parole, given all the testimony that the defense team put up talking about his mental state in the days, weeks, months leading up to the murder, which Colt Gray confessed to not too long ago. So as soon as that judge walks back in the courtroom to render the sentence, we will take you back to the courtroom live. In the meantime, we want to talk about a bizarre story down in Peachtree City where a family wants to warn the public about some fraudsters, which started with a couple going on Google searching for a Barbie Dreamhouse. Let's get out to Fox 5's Doug Evans, who's live for us with their story. Crazy how these two things are even coming together. Doug?
Yeah, and Tom, this sort of thing is happening more often to shoppers online, where you go onto Google and you type in for Saunders, it was a Barbie Dreamhouse for their daughter Blythe. So Nick goes on, he types in Google Barbie Dreamhouse. It comes up the exact one she wants for her birthday, right? And it's a pretty good price, and it's at Wayfair. Everybody knows Wayfair, right? So he starts putting in his credit card. Well, he types his wife, good man, good husband, types his wife saying, hey, I think I found a good price on this, la la la, and she writes back, go ahead and get it. So he does. So he types in his credit card information and everything else and hits send, and it spins and spins and spins. Okay, so long story short, here's what happened to Nick. It was not Wayfair. It was a spoof site, and this spoof site had ended up in the high profile, the upper tier of stores in Google search. And that's what's happening now, is that, let's say for the Barbie Dreamhouse, and the Google shopping thing comes up, and it's going to have like Walmart, Amazon, Target, all the top tier retailers, right? And on and on and on down the list. Well, these fake sites, these spoof sites are making their way up into the top tier of the Google shopping list. And so you got to be really careful. Let's listen to Nick and Josie as they tell their story.
There was the Google shopping section, right, that comes up. And it was just one of the first few links there where, you know, it lists the vendor that's selling it, the price that they're selling it as. And there is the URL underneath it, but you just have to be paying attention for it. And we weren't at that time.
So, and the site was Wayfair, popular shopping site.
Yeah, I mean, it was a absolute clone of Wayfair. So it had the kind of purple background, said Wayfair in big letters, had the whole checkout system. I mean, it had all the pictures that you could click through and zoom in on if you wanted. Had everything that looked exactly like the main Wayfair site.
And so Nick, the key is to look at that link and make sure that that link that's embedded in there on there is the actual link of that.
Absolutely, and just the URL in general. The whole time I never glanced at the URL, where if I would have, it would have been pretty obvious that it was not Wayfair at all. But yeah, I did not notice that until we were checking out after I'd already put in all of my information and kind of hit checkout as it was spinning, and never did get to the whole confirmation page or anything like that. And maybe that's by design. I don't know. But while it was spinning, it spun long enough that I just was kind of looking around the page, and that's when I happened to notice the URL that had been staring.
Yeah, so what happened to Nick then? Well, nothing happened for a couple of weeks, right? He immediately reported it to his bank and said, hey, I think I've made an error here. You need to keep an eye on my credit card. And within a couple of weeks, the scammers who put together this website started using his credit card information and racked up $16,000 in bogus charges, right? And so, you know, you think that your bank is going to pay that, but it doesn't always happen. In fact, their bank, and we won't say which one it is because they finally did the right thing, but their bank put them on the hook for that 16 grand. So they almost had a $16,000 Barbie house, right? Never got it anyway. And so The bank said, no, this is your problem. We're not going to pay it. And it was that way from April of this year until just last week, where this poor family here thought for the 16 grand error that happened. So the Saunders want you to know that if you type in stuff, if you're an online shopper like I am, man, I love it. You type it in Google and the retailers and your product come up, make sure that if you click, it's going to take you to that retailer site, not some bogus site that scammers have put up with. You know, Walmart.com, Target.com. You're familiar with these sites, right? Make sure that it goes to the retailer's site and not some bogus site. In this case, it wasn't Wayfair.com, Tom. It was Wayfair.shop. And that's how it got taken.
Well, so great of this couple to come forward to tell you their story, to warn other families. I mean, they were just trying to buy their daughter a Barbie Dreamhouse and they got scammed. But great advice to, if you click on something, make sure it goes to the retailer's site and not somewhere else, because you're just setting yourself up for disaster there. Doug Evans with the story of that couple. Doug, thanks so much. We're on sentencing watch in Barrow County for the Colt Gray Apalachee High School murder trial. The judge expected to enter the courtroom at any moment here. Our cameras there are live on the seal right above the courtroom there. So as soon as the judge walks in to render his sentence, we of course will break in and bring that to you live as we continue. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Boy, it's been a busy afternoon of news, from monitoring the funeral services for Lindsey Graham up in Washington, D.C., that emergency landing at Peachtree DeKalb Airport, which happened not too long ago, which we were live on, the SWAT standoff that happened where our photojournalist talked about what was happening there. And the Colt Gray sentencing hearing, which we are awaiting the judge to re-enter the courtroom to to tell us his decision about the fate of the confessed Apalachee High School shooter. In the meantime, and on a much lighter note, let's get out to our Chris Rosenthal, who's standing by live for us this afternoon with a pretty cool story at Life University. The women's rugby team there hosting its girls' summer residency camp on the Marietta campus. Chris, what's it all about?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're having that camp about a week here or so at this camp, and I'll tell you, these girls, they are super competitive, super talented. Ages 13 to 17. Let me tell you how good the program is here. They have students coming from around the world, even as far as Guam, to come here and play. And to come and play and be part of this camp and part of participating here. This team here, actually, the Life University women's team, last season won three national championships. So big sport here. And I'm joined by the coach here, Rish. And Rish, I'll flip my camera around here. So practice or camp wrapping up here today for the day. But tell me a little bit about, the popularity of the sport. I don't think people quite realize it here at Life University, just how big it is here, huh?
Yeah, the sport itself is pretty not as well known in the US. Obviously, you've got the top American sports, and rugby is something which is growing. The US is actually hosting, we just had the FIFA World Cup. The US is hosting the 2031 Men's World Cup and then also the 2033 Women's World Cup. So we're hoping that the popularity grows there.
Yeah, and this school here is really one of the best here. I mean, students coming from all over the place, even just to be part of this camp, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the, it's a national powerhouse, if you will. And it's obviously, the more it grows, people want more exposure to that kind of thing. So it's pretty cool that we've got international students, we've got people coming from all over the world just to be part of this.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best players here. Bella Vogel, she's one of the youngest on the U.S. women's team out here as one of the coaches here, one of the counselors here working with the students. But you guys have a big game coming up. It's kind of a big honor here Monday, huh?
Yeah, so we've got the US second side, so the US Falcons, they call them. They're coming here for a training camp, and then we play them in a game before they head off to Brazil to play in 2 test matches.
And tell me about kind of what an honor that is to have this here.
It's huge. It's huge for us. It's huge for our pathways. Obviously, we want as much exposure to high performance as we possibly can. And so having them be here, having them play here, having them train here, it gives more than just the people selected a chance to play at the highest level. So it's a huge, huge honor.
Yeah, and playing against the girls that are here from Life University. And public can come out and watch this, huh?
Yeah, they can. So it's a 6 o'clock kickoff on Monday at Life University. Tickets are on our Instagram page. So if you go onto the Instagram page, you can find that.
Awesome. That'll be a heck of a game to come watch and to come see. And, tell me, I mean, rugby, what can people expect? For people who haven't come to see a game before, what can people expect?
Entertainment. It's fast, it's ferocious, it's fun to watch. The ball moves a lot, there's a lot of collisions, and it's nonstop. And that's the fun part.
Yeah, I think a lot of people maybe relate to football, American football, but no pads, huh?
No pads, no need. Technique, it's safe. The game is really safe. It looks pretty aggressive, but it's actually really safe. And so if it's done properly, there's big collisions and all safe collisions.
Gotcha. Well, Rish, thanks for joining us here. Again, Life University. This is really, like you said, kind of a powerhouse here for rugby, both women's and men's. And big game, of course, coming up here Monday, 6 o'clock here at Life University in Marietta, just off Cobb Parkway. So 6 o'clock here Monday. Big game.
I love this program. I love this coach is fantastic. I mean, the motivation, the spirit with which he teaches these girls. Rugby is a great game. Not necessarily a game that originates here in the United States, but are these players learning sort of from the ground up or coming in as rugby enthusiasts?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of them come in from various club programs, so not so much ground up, but they're coming in from with experience. So these are players that they're not starting from the bottom. I mean, these are some really good players here, and players that have the potential to advance further up the ranks.
All right, Chris Rosenthal live with Life University's women's rugby program. Chris, thanks so much. Want to take you back live to Barrow County, where the judge has taken his seat in the Colt Gray sentencing portion of this trial. The confessed Apalachee High School shooter set to enter the courtroom there at any moment. A lot of people, not least of which family and loved ones and those affected by the atrocious actions of this 16-year-old. Their life completely changed back in 2024. In just a matter of seconds now, he will learn his fate. Here's the situation. So he pleaded guilty to all counts, some 55-plus charges against him. The judge has to decide, am I going to send him to prison for the rest of his life without the possibility of parole? Or am I going to provide him the possibility of parole years, perhaps decades down the road, and the chance to recoup his life? Let's listen to the judge.
And here, as everyone understands, the minimum sentence is life with parole. Now, the appellate courts have said that children are constitutionally different from adults for purposes of sentencing. That stems from an understanding that juveniles aren't fully formed cognitively. Hallmark features of a juvenile include immaturity, impulsivity, recklessness, the failure to appreciate risk and consequences. And because of these factors, the Supreme Court says that the 8th Amendment prohibits the death penalty for juveniles. The Supreme Court also disfavors life without parole for juveniles, declaring it to be a constitutionally forbidden, disproportionate sentence in all but the rarest of cases. Life without parole is thus authorized only for youthful crimes reflecting permanent incorrigibility. Life without parole is barred for crimes that are born out of a transient immaturity of youth. Now, I recognize that with your guilty plea, you've assumed responsibility for your crimes. You have made a lengthy and public trial unnecessary. I also recognize that you were failed by each of your parents. You were failed by your extended family. To a certain extent, you've been failed by a society that can't stop propagating this misguided value in online cultures and social media, rather than making genuine interpersonal connections and relationships. But that failure does not absolve you from who you chose to idolize, worship, and become. 4 lives were stolen, 2 of them really just beginning, and it wasn't done out of fear or anger. You weren't being bullied at Apalachee. It wasn't done out of hatred. You didn't even know anyone at that school. It was done for the infamy of it. Now, your childhood instability and neglect would explain or mitigate finding yourself in one of those problematic places that Dr. Richards testified about. But planning, fantasizing about, visualizing, and executing a school shooting don't put you in a problematic place. It puts you in an unredeemable moral wasteland. Your crimes do reflect permanent incorrigibility, and I will sentence you to life without parole for each of the malice murders that you committed. You understood the horror of what you were going to do. You studied the trials of those other shooters. You even critiqued the victim statements given in those cases, and yet you did this anyway. You wrote, "I want to make history. I want people to remember the pain I caused." And there you succeeded. The pain that you visited upon this community is unlikely to disappear in my lifetime. You do not seem to be tormented by what you did. You seem to relish following in the footsteps of the murderers you idolize. You aren't racked with guilt. You're proud of yourself. Less than a month after the tragedy, you weren't concerned with the horror you wrought, but rather with finding out which mass murderers they were comparing you to. A youth may fail to consider the harm his rash actions inflict before acting, but you did consider it. You studied that pain when you researched the trials of your profane idols. You contemplated that pain over and over. This wasn't transient immaturity. It was deliberate, contemplated evil. You are all too aware of the court outcome of those mass shootings because you studied and obsessed over them. You know that the Aurora Theater shooter received life without parole. Nicholas Cruz received life without parole. Ethan Crumley, a juvenile, received life without parole. Yet you were not dissuaded. Your plan was not hastily hatched. It was a slow boil simmering.
Live pictures from the Barrow County courtroom where the judge has just sentenced Colt Gray to life in prison without the possibility of parole, calling him an unredeemable moral wasteland that Colt Gray plunged into, plotting these murders premeditatedly. Citing the Parkland shooting, shooter got sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole too. The courtroom very quiet, no emotional outbursts of any kind. The defense pleaded with the judge based on Colt Gray's mental capacity for life in prison with the possibility of parole, but the judge deciding against that, sentencing, breaking Colt Gray to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Our coverage continues here on Fox 5. The News at 4 begins right now.
Right now.